Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 4 of the anime series Fuuka, which was, for all intents and purposes, very reminiscent. I really recalled back to my days in the early 90s, watching episodes of Saved by the Bell, being in middle school at that time myself. With the sort of plotting going on in this particular episode, and I really do like it. I really enjoy it. It was sweet. It was like, we're getting the band together, and I kind of love how all these characters we've been introduced to in the background, they all have this innate music-related talent, and it's coming to the fore as we move on, little by little. Oh, the track guy happens to be a drummer. Oh, the teacher happens to have been a keyboardist in Hedgehogs, the band that Fuuka grew up loving and wants to aspire toward being like in her new band that she's creating, and she's got you gonna be playing the bass, and Mikasa's gonna be playing his part and all this kind of stuff. She's gonna sing, and it's just really all kinds of sweet. But of course, we're picking up right where we left off with Fuuka having stumbled upon you and Koyuki, Tama-chan as he calls her, his childhood friend, the singer that she idolizes in the present day. And when she storms off, he's kind of, under the, I think, misguided impression, if she stumbled on him with another girl, she might be upset about that. It might be some sort of jealousy. Maybe she's had feelings for him or something like that. It's all, being misconstrued. It's a misunderstanding, a la Three's Company level, misunderstandings go in the storytelling and plotting of this series. But it was interesting. I'm sitting there like wanting to scream at the screen to you, no, it's not about any sort of relationship thing. There's no romance about why she's upset. She's upset because this is the girl, this is the singer she has idolized, and she's told you as much time and time and time again since you met her. She's pissed you didn't tell her that this was a friend of yours, everything like that. I will say that, you have to take sort of part and parcel how old these characters are. They're still in school, they're still very childish, and she was being very childish about it. That is to say, Fuuka, in reaction to this, and, his sort of tiptoeing on eggshells and trying to talk to her, but saying it wrong. I mean, how many of us honestly can say this isn't how we would interact with people back in our own school days, It was sometimes awkward, especially with the opposite sex or whomever you might have been attracted to and friends with and all that kind of stuff. It's just sometimes hard to communicate. It's hard to get along, and sometimes you can fight over the stupidest thing. Oh, I didn't get my comic book back after I lent it to you until a day later. I'm kind of pissed, You're pissing me off here with how you're stringing me along. I want my comic back, and so then you don't talk for a week. That's the kind of crap kids and teenagers do, and they're on this learning curve of how they can improve themselves and be better formatted and more forgiving and understanding and try to get along and try to not make those mistakes again, that kind of stuff. But they are human beings after all, or at least they're anime characters, but they're molded and based on human interactions. And so I love it. I love that, they end up making amends with Mikasa, of all people's intervention, and in such a hilarious way. After Yu has tried to talk to Fuuka time and time again, it's not working. At one point, after hours of their workday going by, and Yu has had no success trying to approach Fuuka again, he does try to apologize to her, but it comes out all wrong. Digs an even deeper hole than what was there before, with the starting, confrontation between the three of them, that is to say Fuuka and Koyuki and Yu. And so it's like Mikasa has to get involved, and so he goes to approach Yu, and he's like, well, why don't you tell me what's going on? Are you still fighting? Do you still want to fight? What's it about? How do you feel about it? And Yu just lets out, he pours his heart out that, I'm not happy about this. I hate this. My day is miserable. I can't be happy and enjoying myself unless, Fuuka is there with me smiling and I can feel good about myself and what I'm doing. And Fuuka is kneeling down right outside the door, listening to the entire thing, eavesdropping on the entire thing. The look on her face is priceless when Mikasa then references the fact, well, Fuuka's right here, She feels the same way about it. Don't you, Fuuka? She's just like... So, and so, I mean, it was absolutely sweet as all hell. And then, of course, the teacher and the track guy and this third guy who you're not sure who he is, they show up, and you find out for kids who have idolized this group, and as many times as we've heard Fuuka mentioning hedgehogs, I mean, she even mentions it to the teacher, and the teacher in the last episode or the episode before, whichever one it was, is all enamored by the fact that, this band is getting a mention, and she says, oh, it reminds me of my youth or my past or whatever like that. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought, okay, she's a fan of the same band. That's cool. No, she was the keyboardist in the band, and now we're meeting the drummer, and we're meeting the guitarist and everything like that. And it blew my ever-loving mind. Like, the supportive nature in the teacher, even though she is somewhat of a drunkard, as we see in this episode, keep her away from alcohol, she had the right idea about trying to nurture Fuuka's her passion for music and wanting to create a band and all this kind of stuff, even without, I guess you could say, knowing of her talents. The only one who really had sort of any idea was that she could sing, and she sang well. She kicks a lot of ass as a singer, and he was the only one who really knew that and heard that. And I have to wonder if maybe it was just a level of the fact that when Fuuka had come to the teacher and said, we want our own band space, we want to create our own band, it was the sort of, impact that, well, here was Mikasa and here was you backing her up. And it seemed like they had a working thing going. So let's see how far they can go. Can they get started? Is there anything to this? And that's why the teacher brought along her former bandmates. The cat who runs the beach house, he was one of them. So he was already there. But it was all kinds of awesome when really you have, the taskmaster that is Nachi, the track dude. He's like, look, this is ridiculous. You have talents you have in running, in, the athletics and everything like that. Focus on that. Don't make this band, which is a lost cause, don't make this your focus. This is not a sure thing. It's not a certainty. You're more, befitting of doing the track running and everything like that. And they kind of, it's interesting how they pinion you right in the center of it all, that entire argument, because of course you have Mikasa being like, hey, she's a good singer, she's good at it, she's a musical talent. And then the track dude's like, hey, she's a good runner, she's athletic, she should focus on that, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's coming from both sides. But eventually he does confess to the fact, after having heard her sing, she sings dope. She sings good, and they put it to the test, and they rock out with that song in the OP, which is all kinds of badass. They rocked out so hardcore, and I was like, yeah! Of course you have the beach house dude being like, well, you're kind of singing sloppy, it's not perfect, needs a little work, but he's doing this to keep her grounded, to make her appreciate the fact that she does have this talent, and to keep practicing at it. It's never sort of something, counterintuitive to keep progressing, to keep trying to practice and perfect and hone. Even if you're a great singer, you have to keep at it. You have to keep your voice in tune and in check and all this kind of stuff. And also not, get sort of a major ego is, one of the things. I mean, they said two of their former Hedgehog bandmates are like, one of them took off, the chick took off or whatever, maybe the lead singer, and then someone followed after her and everything. And like, was that a matter of ego? Was something like that going on? Is it something we'll find out later? That's why they've been on this air quotes hiatus, as they say, as the band Hedgehogs. But she sings so good in this practice performance, and they have you sidled up with the bass guitar, which he does nothing with. He absolutely doesn't know how to play it. Even after it's explained to him, these two chords, this one during the chorus and everything like that, he's starstruck. He's dumbstruck by the angelic vision that Fuuka represents when she is at the mic and letting rip like a hurricane. And it gave me goosebumps. I'm kind of like right in his position. I'm like, yes, this is how this needs to be. This is how it's aligning. This is perfect. Let's go. Let's get to it, And then, of course, like I say, finding out Nachi, the track dude, he's getting ribbed by Mikasa because he was tapping along to the music for all of his saying, Fuuka, you're not a certainty at singing. This shouldn't be something you pursue. he was into it, man. He was feeling the vibe, and we find out he's a drummer to boot, as I say. The convenience of the plot and the characters all having some innate music-related talent. They're all going to come into play. If we've been introduced to him, I'm sure there's going to be like a hat shop owner from episode 1 we'll have forgotten about, and he's going to be their, sort of manager or something in an upcoming episode. I love it. This show is so endearing to me, even if the plot, contrivances and conveniences are somewhat cliche and predictable. I don't care. I love the characters. I love the heartwarming feeling when you and Fuuka, make amends, when she kind of taps him on the chest with her closed fist and calls him stupid, like revealing all the things that he revealed about her, as far as how she made him feel and all that kind of stuff. It was just really sweet. And the song kicked ass, seeing it performed kicked ass. And the only sort of thing that could top it was the cliffhanger. And it's like, now this was one that I did not see coming. Of course, as she's putting on this performance, this practice performance, for all intents and purposes, a crowd is gathering of beachgoers and everything like that. Everyone's wondering what the hell's going on. And off in the distance, Koyuki, who is setting up to leave, she hears this and she says something like, oh, it brings back memories. And she's looking across the water. And I don't know if, she put 2 and 2 together at all, that Yu was somehow involved with it, but I'm sure she must have figured it out because, of course, she is aware of the fact that he's going to be in a band with Fuuka and all this kind of stuff. And it was interesting how also calling back to the very, opening sequence of the episode, that I kind of had thought she was going to reveal how she felt about you, but she, sort of backpedaled from it a little bit. Oh, we're friends after all. Ha 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 ha, even though she's head over heels, dumbstruck in love with him and has been obsessed with him since they knew each other as kids and wrote all her songs about him and all this kind of stuff. So it's a double whammy when you get to the end and he finally returns home. They've all come home and he goes right into his digs, right there to welcome him. I thought it was going to be all his naked sisters, but no, there is Koyuki. Tama-chan herself is now, I guess, living with him, or at least she's visiting, but I got a bad feeling she's going to be living there, and that's going to make all sorts of problems in the love triangle thing that I loosely predicted was coming with Fuuka and Koyuki, and, of course, Yu. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out. Are they both going to be, that is to say, Fuuka and Koyuki, are they going to both be competing for his affections? Is it going to go, are they going to twist it and, basically Fuuka's digging on Koyuki instead? All that kind of stuff. I have no idea. But I'm smiling through this entire review because I really genuinely enjoyed this episode. It was like all the sort of paint by numbers things that I would want to enjoy the episode happened, one after the other. And I just can't wait to see where it goes. And I hope they kick all kinds of ass getting this band up and running. But I'm sure there's going to be some trials and tribulations in practicing and getting all that stuff aligned and everything like that before they actually get to that point. And yeah, otherwise, that's pretty much all I have to say. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you've seen episode 4 of Fuuka as well, if you're enjoying the series, if you enjoyed this episode. If not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. Anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. And so, yeah, otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. If this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.